Do ah. That's lame Papa dancing. And welcome to this week's Q&A. Just so you guys know, quick announcement. Um, there's been some amazing things happening in the agency space, at least in my little tiny world. I don't know about the rest of you guys. So we're in where I'm at lockdown number two here in Europe, and I know you guys are dealing with a lot of different things when it comes to lockdown. Obviously, not being able to move is a big one. Clients probably gonna feel super insecure and unstable. So I wanted to give you guys a big secret with this. And if you're interested in doing something like this, reach out to me. But one of the big challenges clients are going to have right now, and it's only going to get worse, is cash flow, right? Like if they have to lay off 30 employees, paying a marketing person is going to get harder and harder and harder. And there's always still people who have money and are busy, so you can certainly specialize in those. But if you have clients that are affected by this and you want some help with them, the simplest way is just to work with the resources they already have. They almost always have like an undervalued customer list. And if you send one of our kind of email campaigns or text message campaigns, they just really work. They just because you don't have to work real hard to tell somebody who eats at a restaurant once a week, hey, we got a special, maybe come in twice this week, right? So it's not nearly as hard as people make it. So if you'd be interested in that, I haven't formalized anything like that, just something I've been pondering based on everything that's happening. But reach out. And if you're also, I wanted to add, for any of you who guys are like totally shit out of luck, like meaning you're broke right now and you would love to join some of our programs or things like that, but it's not available. I do from time to time do like little private, like kind of group training. So I'll keep you posted on that. But if you have something you just need help with, just reach out. Like this is more about like helping each other than it is about, making sales. When I first began my agency, it was in 2007, and then the economy went to the shit. I was sleeping on my girlfriend's couch. I probably the most I've ever felt like a loser in my entire life, and I couldn't get any clients. And there was a depression that made it harder. And I didn't really have anything unique to say, and it was just really hard period of my time, a life period of my life. And I had the father-in-law saying, go get a real job. So if any of you are in a situation like that, don't just like do it alone. I'm sure I can help you with some. So if you just want a second opinion on something you're putting out into the world, shoot it over in a message. I'd be happy to help you. Um, so, anyways, just wanted to throw that out there for any of you guys who are like really struggling. And of course, for the us people that can afford it, there's nobody who will help you better scale an agency the easy way if you want to actually do it as a lifestyle biz. Anywho, let's get to the questions. Michael, I just had an interview and the client asked me this question: how many hours to get my SEO together? He means how many weeks or months to rank his website. It's a local target. And I said it takes months or years, but mostly it takes years, but it depends on the keywords and competitor. His reply is it doesn't take months. And when I checked his website is new, I think. Okay, so there's a couple things going on here, Michael. Firstly, you've got somebody new who's actually getting into the SEO game and has no idea what's really involved. So personally, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I would educate any kind of client like that before I take them on, because if they think, oh, it's just this some instant quick fix magic thing, and they don't understand what you're actually doing for them, they'll be a pain in the ass after you get the money. A lot of times we think you need to like work really hard to sell them, but we don't think about what'll happen after you get that client. So I would, more than anything, educate that client on what your plan is, because I know when I used to experience this in SEO is when I got really good at it, even with all the craziness of Google, just based on analyzing competition, I could tell around how long it would take me. So I would say, based on your competition, I could probably get you there like 8 to 10 months. That's what I'm anticipating. And if you're not at that point, you want to like at least get a ballpark of that, and then show them what you're going to do in those 8 to 10 months to get them there, and what they should expect to happen month after month. Because if they're not sold on that, um, you're just going to have crazy challenges. Now, of course, you can always develop something like, especially your first offer, I think should be something that works faster than SEO. I think it's a great second offer when you've demonstrated something that works. And that's the piece that you probably need to work on most, because you're basically saying, hey, here's some shit that's going to take years to work. We're in the middle of, lockdowns, and people are locked in their home and they're stressed out and there's political uncertainty. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make payroll. And you want me to commit to a year and a half contract. And I still don't even know what's going to happen. You're fighting a really uphill battle. So the easiest thing is just to, like, I'll give you a real example. Hendrikus this week just developed an offer that was like something along the lines of, Um, he ran a campaign and they got, I don't know, like 60 new testimonials or something like that in 3 days. And he also was able to make some sales for those people. Now, obviously, you can't run this campaign forever, and eventually you got to have more than that going on. But that's a very easy sell to a new, in his case, pharmacy, which is like, I can pump you full of testimonials and get you even a couple of sales by the weekend. Would you be interested in running a trial? Versus what you're selling, which is, hey, I'm going to take years, you don't even know what I'm going to do, and the person doesn't understand SEO to begin with. So that's how I would deal with that whole thing. I know that's kind of a complicated answer, but um, that's the simplest way to have it in practice, where you're going to end up with an easy client who pays you over and over. Okay, Stefan, question. Best practice in automating onboarding processes. Is it even good to automate onboarding processes? Currently, each onboarding appointment for new clients is done one-to-one with three main goals: ensure correct mindset and expectations, give information which is required later for collaboration, give them a timetable which steps are following. Each appointment takes an hour. My plan is to have some automation like webinars, but it should be as near one-to-one as possible. Chats are not public, multiple videos. Um, Blah blah blah. So anyway, sorry, I get the gist of what you're asking, which is it a good thing to even automate in the first place? I'll tell you what we did, and that I've always found works best in our agency, and been using it ever since, which is, I call it scalable personalization. And what I mean by that is, we have like a script ready to go for a welcome letter for a client that tells them here's how long it's going to take and all those things. But other than a few details, like 95% of it is already written. And so each time we welcome somebody, like, it feels very personalized because they get something that's unique to them, and so forth. But it like doesn't take us a long time to do. So I've never found a really good onboarding tool that I liked. I find this is just my experience, but if you send somebody software, they go, okay, these reports look really pretty, but can you call me and tell me what they mean? So I found that you end up having that phone call anyway. So what worked for us best is like a little just 5-minute screen capture video showing them what we're doing, why we're doing it. Here's what's going on. Here's everything you need to know. Are we cool? Are we on the same page? And that's been the best I've ever found. And that conversation is 90% standardized, and you're just adding 10% personalization, which is usually for us just the intro. So we'll say, hey, in your case, Stefan, how's it going? I just wanted to welcome you, blah, 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 and that's all standardized. And then we say, I just want to show you your campaigns really quickly, or whatever you're going to do for them. Elis, why did you decide to become an agency owner? I didn't really, actually. I got really good at SEO for my own, like, kind of affiliate business, and then somebody asked if I could do that for them, and that put me in the agency world. And back in those days, it wasn't like as many SEOs as there are now, where it's like everybody's been taught it's a course to make money, but it was more like an in-demand practice back then. And so it was pitched to me. I'll tell you why I stayed, though, because that's a much better question. Is one, you actually really get to help people. When it works, it really works. And the payments are really good and recurring. Like, most businesses, you can't start from a laptop with nothing and then have 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 a month recurring 3 months later, with little to no overhead. So there's a lot of upside. And then I love the mobility of it. And so when you combine like helping people with high-end recurring and being able to do it anywhere from the world, I just think it's a great business. But there's a lot of things normally how people run an agency that they get bogged down in, mostly the clients themselves, and a lot of that is issues of expectations. And if you learn to sort those out, it's one of the most fun business models in the world, because you just have a bunch of happy people you help who pay a lot of money every month, and you can do it anywhere. So that's why I stay. Robert, how do you deal with, I already have a family member or a friend working on it? Well, Robert, if you listen between the lines, what they're trying to tell you is you have a Me Too offer. It's the same shit they've heard from somebody else, and even if you can do it better, they've heard only 1,000 people promise they can do mo better. So you need to get out of the mo better offer world and get into the how can I add on to what they're already doing, and you'll get some clients when you do that. Michael, how do I deal with it? It's too expensive, or I've been burned before and you guys are all the same, even after I explain why we're different. Can I speak to one of your clients? Okay, so those are two separate things, Michael. So The answer I gave Robert just a minute ago of it's too expensive or I've been burned by you guys and you're all the same, even after you explain why you're different, that means your offer is just too similar and they've heard it before. And so you're going to get that over and over. And as long as there's somebody with a very similar offer, you're going to look over your shoulder the entire time you do this. You want to have something that's like, I call a mini monopoly that's unique to you, where they can't get it anywhere else. Even if it's just like a little twist on something that's already working. Like if there's a million people doing SEO, but you're the only one who's doing cosmetic dentist SEO, then they're going to want to hire you even though it's the same damn thing, right? Can I speak to one of your clients is a different objection. That's actually like, in a way, it's kind of like, I don't trust you. And that gets easier as your offer gets better because like when they say I don't trust you, it's not like you personally. It's just like, it's more like, I call it the battered wife syndrome. They've hired 6 SEO people or 6 AdWords people or 6 Facebook people, and they just haven't had good experiences. So they come in with a distrust. I'll tell you a big shortcut that helped us. I noticed this was a big objection when I got in the lawyer space, and it was extra challenging in the beginning because you don't really have anybody they could talk to. And even still, if they have to talk to them, it slows down the whole process because it might take them a week to talk to each other. And then by then, like a bunch of momentum is lost and so forth. So one is to deal with that up front, knowing that like as soon as they say I'm interested in speaking to you, send them a bunch of testimonials or whatever you got from other people, and as well um, um, bring it up in the conversation. Like what I used to do is like say, oh, you remind me of so and so from Texas. He had very similar challenges to you, because they just don't want to be the first one and don't want to get burned and don't want to look stupid. So um, yeah, bring it up and you'll find a lot of that goes away. But most of that is just you're having issues because your offer is too similar to other people. Famka. Hey guys, do you know how to convince clients to pay up front? I've been with this client and it was a fight convincing them to pay up front. She is an old soul and believes work should be done before payment. Nonetheless, she budged. Um, there's layers to that one. Firstly, Famka, I wouldn't deal with clients that need to be convinced. Because if you forcefully kind of convince a client, I've seen this happen time and time again, is you get the money, you get the payment, and it seems like really cool, but then the client has like an intense buyer's remorse reaction, and they tend to like not stay very long. They tend to like leave. And that's not any good either. And they're looking for ways to get out of the contract after they get into it. So I wouldn't say convince. It sounds like in her case, like she's just worried about the risk of it. And I don't think it's about being old school. It's just she doesn't want to be burned by this whole scenario. So one way you can deal with that is just not to pick clients like that. Not everybody's like that. Um, Two is to understand like her real objection is probably a combination of trust and then just plain old cash flow. Like these are tough times, right? So a lot of people may not be able to pay you until after it works and they know the job is delivered. So the best thing to do is to shrink down what you're doing and offer some kind of trial where you can feel each other out and see if you're going to like them. Because if you do something and it takes you 5 days to implement and then you get burned by it, you'll know not to work with them. But if they actually turn out cool, then you can continue onwards. And worst case scenario, you've lost a couple days. So to give you a real example, I just came across this in a thread the other day. I thought it was really brilliant. It was a web designer who was saying, when I notice somebody has a really ugly website, I offer them a quick and dirty landing page to show them what it could look like. And he can build a landing page in 10, 20, 30 minutes, right? So when he shows them the landing page, um, do they pay them for the landing page? Are they easy to deal with? Are they fun? Do they see the value in it? And if so, then it makes sense to like then do the second project with them. But you also like want to screen people for your own sanity, because I've made this mistake, and anybody who's been doing the agency game for longer than 5 years can tell you this. What ends up happening from time to time is you sign up a client who, for one reason or another, was just a bad fit, and they bring down your energy because they like for real just suck the life out of you, and they complain and they want endless amounts of like help, and you begin to like doubt and question, like, do you still know what you're doing? Even though you may have 10 clients who are working, that one client that you just can't make happy will keep you up at night. And so you don't want those clients, and the easiest way is to do a small trial together and then see if it makes sense to continue onward. That's one of the things we're really good at here, by the way. Shameless self-plug is helping you create little small offers that are small but meaningful and are easy to say yes to. Um, Dhruv, I hope I'm saying that correctly. How do website developers get clients How are they setting appointments with business owners, and what is the offer that's working best in the market right now? Asking for a friend, thanks. Drew, there's a couple layers to that question, as usual. So, how does a web developer get clients? I'll tell you the problem with the question actually is right in that word clients. It's very big. Like, it's a big word and it's not really specific, right? And so, half of the challenge you have is really you're just not clear on who you're looking to get. So, if I like said, like, how do I get, I don't know, a TV attorney to do motorcycle cases? That's a much, much smaller, narrow group of people, and I can go find them. So, the other thing too is it makes it clear what you're going to do for them because otherwise, like a website means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What's up, Preston? I just noticed your message, dude. We are overdue to hang out. I'm just saying that. Preston is, by the way, for you guys listening to the replay when everybody's awake, he's one of the coolest motherfuckers on the planet and has a lot of badass business skills. And if you want somebody to consult on your shit, he's a good guy to talk to. Um, So, how do web developers get clients? How are they setting appointments with business owners, and what is the offer that's working best? Now, here's the thing about offer: if you don't innovate at least a little bit, it doesn't really matter what's working best for other people. Dan Crystal told me this was happening in the roofing niche, which he's got a small empire built by now. Um, so there's all these people who took a Ty Lopez course and they gave him a script to use. But if you use the script verbatim, there's literally hundreds of people sending the exact same message to roofers. And so even though that was a working offer, by the time it's been swiped 1,000 times, it doesn't work nearly as well. So you got to innovate a little bit. That's the people like the part people want to avoid. So when you get clear on your clients, you got to figure out what can you do for a website that like nobody else can do. And I'll give you some examples. One is I knew a guy who had a website. I help you create websites that sell, and he worked with local businesses and he helped them build like forms, and he made like their websites drive action. So like they could measure did people fill out the form and call us or not, right? So it's they turned those into direct response websites. Another one I've seen just worked with Christian people, so they helped them build Christian websites for charity and that kind of thing. And Michael Barnes, for example, in our group was just working with people who are like, thanks to the pandemic, looking to build their dream for the first time, and they have some kind of business they want to start. And his thing is like basically, I turn your business idea into a reality. Like they get a real store and people can really buy stuff. It's probably an idea they've been sitting on for 10 years, and the whole lockdowns and stuff have made it possible for them to have some time and space to do that. So that's a huge, huge part of it is just getting clear on which kind of clients you're after, because then the offer will make much more sense because you'll understand how to help them. So that'll be the one thing. Just figure out who you also want to work with and make a decision. And then you can find those people more clearly. And your offer just for a web design will make more sense. Vina, do you use LinkedIn for prospecting? Yes, I do. Currently not using it at all or very minimal. And I'll tell you why. It just depends where my audience is. In different niches, I do different things. I don't think there's ever one way you're supposed to get clients, but the principles of dealing with people never change. And that's what I've always been most interested in, the parts that don't change. What's the same from LinkedIn to Facebook to Google to all of those? And it's usually like understanding of people. So when we use LinkedIn for prospecting, my first criteria is always going to be like, is that where my market goes? So when I dealt with lawyers, lawyers are way more active on LinkedIn than they are on Facebook. So I spend a lot more time on LinkedIn. As I deal with a lot of you guys, agency owners, you're more in like Facebook groups and things like that. So I tend to spend more time here, but that's just because that's where you guys are. And so I think the simplest advice I can give you for prospecting to be successful it is go where they already are. I know that sounds so simple, but I hear people saying, my client is not reachable on Facebook ads. How can I target this unreachable person? And it's like, well, that's telling you get off of Facebook. Like I knew a coach who charged $1 million per year, and it was for only high-end CEOs, and you had to get referred in there. And it's like I said, it's $1 million for one client for 1 year. But that's where the highest level people are. They're in inner circles and they talk to each other and they make referrals. So if you don't get referred in the door, you can't come. There's no Facebook ad funnel. Like you can't run traffic to say, here's my $1 million coaching offer for CEOs and have them sit through a 45-minute webinar. So the simplest thing is go where they go. And if LinkedIn makes sense, then the same principles work. Make a really easy offer to say yes to. All right. We got 19 minutes, and just wanted to say to you guys again, if any of you guys are dealing with lockdowns and your clients' wallets are getting like real tight, and you're looking for alternative ways to help them, the best way I've found to do that is to just send campaigns that we already have written for you to their customer list, because those are the easiest, cheapest, fastest working, best people who will buy shit, and you'll solve their main problem right now, which is cash flow. And whenever you solve their cash flow problem, you do the same for yourself. So if you'd be interested in that, again, it's not a formal offer in the sense I haven't actually developed anything on it, but if you guys would be interested in, just let me know, and I will, take some action on that bad boy. In the meantime, much love for you guys. I will be putting the replay on YouTube, and if you want to catch some replays, what I'm hoping to build, by the way, it'll take me some time, but I want to build a library where any of these questions are searchable, so that when you need an answer, you don't have to watch 27 hours of video. You can just search the one question you need and then go get the answer and watch the relevant part for you. So I'm hoping to build something like that. So if you're interested in that, come hang out and join the 14 people on YouTube. And that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you next week.